Hi friends, today we're going to see the past year NEET questions for the chapter Ecosystem, and today in this video we will cover part 5. So earlier we have completed 4 parts, so kindly have a go through. Now let's begin with the first question, which was asked in the year 1996. Okay, in a food chain the largest population is dash. Okay, now what is the major requirement of a food chain? Where does it initially start from? But before that, what is a food chain? Can we go deep into that? A food chain can be described as a linear network of links. It is called as linear network of links in a food web starting from the producer organism and ending at the apex, which will be the predator species. Then you have the detrivores or the other decomposer species. A food chain also shows how the organisms are tested with each other by the food they eat. Each level of the food chain represents a different trophic level. Okay, so this is the introduction that I would like to give here. So now you must have got the clue. In a food chain, the largest population should be a producer, right? Producers are the direct and the indirect source of the food for all trophic levels. They are always more in number. Therefore, the correct answer is option B. Okay, next question here. The primary succession refers to the development of communities on a dash. Okay, we need to analyze the options here. The first one, fleshly cleared crop field, wrong. Forest clearing after devastating fire, pond freshly filled with water after dry freeze, wrong. Newly exposed habitat with no record of earlier vegetation. The primary succession. Before we go into the answer, let's discuss what is primary succession. Right, see, a primary succession is one of the two types of the biological ecological succession of a plant life, and this will occur of course in an environment in which new substrate devoid of vegetation and other organisms, usually lacking soil such as lava flow or area left retreated glacier, or it is deposited with very other things. So in primary succession, it is the newly exposed or newly formed rock is colonized by living things for the first time. And when you talk about a secondary succession, an area that was previously occupied by a living thing is disturbed, then recolonized following the disturbance. So primary means new. Secondary means disturbed version. That's how you have to remember. Only then you will remember it forever. Okay. Now an example for primary succession is that it may take place include the formation of new islands, new volcanic rocks, or in a land formed with glacial retreats. All these are examples. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option D, newly exposed habitat with no record of earlier vegetation. Let's move to the next question here. In biotic community, the primary consumers are dash. Very easy question for you to answer, right? So when we talk a biotic community, the primary consumers are the herbivores. In biotic community, the herbivores can be anything, plant eating animals, a cow, a goat, a deer, are those animals which consume the primary producers, which are the green plants. Hence they are called as the primary consumers. Therefore the correct answer is option D. This question doesn't need much explanation because it's a very easy question and a direct question too. Fine, let's move to the next question here. The pyramid which cannot be inverted in a stable ecosystem is that of dash. Okay, so when we talk about the pyramid, let's talk about the pyramid first. First of all, can it be inverted? That's my question now. Pyramid. See, we have pyramid of energy, pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass. Now when we talk about the energy pyramid is a model that shows the flow of energy from one trophic or feeding level to the next in an ecosystem. This model of diagram compares the energy used by the organism at each trophic level. The energy of the energy pyramid is measured with kilocals. Okay, now talk about the energy number pyramid of energy. Now we'll talk about the pyramid of numbers. The pyramid of numbers is a graphical representation that shows the number of organisms at each trophic level. It is an upright pyramid in light of the fact that an ecosystem that produces are always more in number than the other trophic levels. And biomass, it is a constitution, it is a combination of everything. Therefore, the correct answer, the pyramid which cannot be inverted in a stable ecosystem, is actually the pyramid of energy. Energy pyramid cannot be inverted because energy always flows in one direction flow. That is why they cannot be inverted. According to the 10% law of energy transfer given by Lindemann, that is in the year 1972, during the transfer of energy from one trophic level to the other is always the loss of energy in respiration and other activities. See, other energy, the number can also be inverted to some extent, but when you talk about energy, the flow is from the lower or higher, whatever. It's in one direction. Okay, so the energy, when it flows from one trophic level, it moves in one direction. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option C, energy pyramid. Okay. Next question here. In grass D tiger food chain, grass biomass is 1 ton. The tiger biomass shall be dash. See, only 10% of the mass is flown from one trophic level to another in the form of energy. So the answer is 10 kg. So it's only 10%. Therefore, the answer is 10 kg because we already discussed about it. It's only 10% of energy. Even in the previous question, we saw that, right? It's only 10%. Therefore, it's the same thing which falls here. Therefore, the right answer will be option B. So look at this question here. Second most important trophic level in a lake is dash. Now they are asking us the second most. Okay, if you ask the first trophic level, it is phytoplankton. Now what about the second most trophic level? It is obviously not benthos and mucin. So, but before that, let's discuss what is this benthos, because we need to know about it, right? Now benthos can be described as they can be defined as a community of organisms that live in or near seabed, river, lake or stream bottom, and also known as the benthic zone. Now what do you mean by mucin? What is mucin? See, mucin is actually small aquatic organisms inhabiting the surface layer and moving on the surface film. Therefore it is not benthos, mucin or phytoplankton. The correct answer is zooplankton. Okay, fine. The first trophic level of the lake is carried out, or it is occupied by phytoplankton, while the second trophic level is maintained by zooplankton, which is option A. Okay, now let's move to the next question here. In a food chain, the largest population is that as dash. Again, this is a very easy question for you, which was asked in the year 1994. Now when we talk about producers, they will be in large amount. Decomposers, they are include microorganisms, bacteria, fungi and earthworms and other worms also. Secondary consumers, they are dependent upon the primary consumers. So in a food chain, the largest population is that of the primary consumers. So when you talk about population, it will be primary consumers, and when you talk in terms of amount, it will be producers. Therefore the correct answer to this question is option D. Okay, next question here. Pyramid of numbers deal with the number of dash. So just now we discussed what is a pyramid of numbers. They include the number of organisms in each trophic level. So that is a measurement that it does. So what does it include now? I've given you the clue. Yes, it is the individuals of the organism in each trophic level. Pyramid of number represents the number of individuals or organisms in each trophic level. See, these questions are self-explanatory, and I also gave you the answers for in the earlier questions. So I am not giving much explanation, and these questions are very simple also. Right. So I think there's not much of requirement for the explanation is needed. A pyramid of numbers, pyramid of energy, I told you. Pyramid of energy is what the flow is in one direction, so it cannot be inverted. And it's a measurement of the energy, and we measure it in terms of kilocalories. Now the pyramid of number is the number of organisms that is present in each trophic level. Therefore the correct answer is option C. Next question here. Pyramid of numbers in a pond ecosystem is dash. Okay, how will it be? Now, the pyramid of numbers in a pond ecosystem is always upright. What is it? Always upright, showing the number of individual organisms at each level. This number then shows a decrease towards the apex. Primary consumers are lesser in number than the grasses. The secondary consumers are lesser in number than when compared to the primary consumers. But in general, what you have to remember is um, the pyramid of number in a pond ecosystem is always upright. But before that, what is actually a pyramid? It's a graphic representation of the relationship between organisms at various trophic levels in a food chain. The basis of the ecological pyramid is the biomass, energy, and the number. Just as the name suggests, the ecological pyramids are in the shape of the pyramid. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option C. Next question here. Food chain. Okay, we are moving to the 11th question here. Food chain in which microorganisms break down the food formed by the primary producers are dash. Okay, so when it is broke. Okay, food chain in which microorganisms break down the food. When the food gets digested, it's breaking down into simpler compounds. Very easy question. We all know the dead organic matter which is left out as remains will be digested or will be intaken by the microorganisms like fungi, bacteria, and worms. They are the main decomposers that we have in our system. So they are also called as detritus food chain. So earthworm is one good example of detrivore. We also saw that, right? So same thing follows here. Okay, the answer to this question is option B. Next question here. Pick up the correct food chain. Okay, we have to analyze here. Grass is eaten by chameleon, wrong. Grass is eaten by fox, it's wrong. Phytoplankton, which is eaten by zooplankton and then moves on to fish, right? Fallen leaves are taken by bacteria, and bacteria from the insect larva is wrong. Therefore, the correct answer is option C. Phytoplankton will be taken by zooplankton and zooplankton will be consumed by the fish, and this type of food chain is found in the aquatic ecosystem. Okay, next question here. Pyramid of numbers in a grassland of a true ecosystem is dash. This we already discussed. This is a repeated question here. So when it comes to a pyramid of number in a pond ecosystem, I said it is always upright, right? So it's the same thing that follows here. So the pyramid of number in a pond ecosystem is always upright, showing the number of individual organisms at each level. This number then shows a decrease towards apex. Primary consumers are lesser in number than the grasses. The secondary consumers are lesser than in number than the primary consumers. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option B, always upright. And later, of course, there's fluctuations found, but predominantly it is always upright. Okay, next question here. What is true of ecosystem? Again, we have to analyze their statements here. Primary consumers are least dependent upon producers, wrong. Primary consumers outnumber the producers, wrong. Producers are more than primary consumers, that is right. Secondary consumers are the largest and the most powerful, wrong. Producers are required more. Okay, they are more than the primary consumers. That is only the right answer. In an ecosystem, producers are the green plants. So only from the green plants you have herbivores, and the herbivores are consumed by the carnivores. So the cycle to follow, or the chain to go in a track, you require producers. So producers are more than the primary consumers is true for ecosystem. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option C. Okay, now let's move to the next question here. In which of the following both pairs have correct combination? Okay, now we have to analyze the statements or the matching here. Gaseous nutrient cycle, carbon and sulfur, that is right. But look at the sedimentary nutrient cycle, it is nitrogen and phosphorus. No. Gaseous nitrogen cycle, it is nitrogen and sulfur. Sedentary is carbon and phosphorus. Actually, the gaseous nutrient cycle should be carbon and nitrogen. Okay, so where is the right answer now? It is option D, where gaseous nutrient cycle is carbon and nitrogen. Sedimentary nutrient cycle is having, I mean, the combination of sulfur and phosphorus. Now, what do you mean by this gaseous nutrient cycle? How can we describe it? You have two cycles, right? Gaseous and sedimentary nutrient cycle. Okay, now talking about this nutrient cycle, I said it has carbon and nitrogen. It includes that of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon and water, while sedimentary cycles include those of iron, calcium, phosphorus, sulfur and other more earthbound elements. Okay. The term gaseous cycle refers to the transfer and transformation of gases between various biochemical reservoirs, which includes the spheres. What are the different spheres that you have? The lithosphere, then you have the hydrosphere, then you have the atmosphere and the biosphere. Okay, so this is just an introduction or something that you want to know about this I've given you. Now, what is the difference between the sedimentary and gaseous cycle? Gaseous cycles are the cycles which are the main reservoir of element is air or water, while if you take a sedimentary cycle, the main reservoir of the element is the earth's crust. So this is the main difference that you need to know, and the correct answer to this question is option D. Next question here. Given below is a simplified model of the phosphorus cycling in a terrestrial ecosystem with 4 blanks, and you need to fill in the blanks. Okay, so let's fill it, right? So consumers, then you have the soil solution, then you have B, and then you have from C. C is given to consumers and A, and again D, if you see, it is given to the A and it's runoff. Okay, now A is what? Consumers. It is detritus is minerals, so I'll mark it here so that you will understand. I'm sorry, here comes detritus minerals, and B will be the rock, C will be the producer, and D will be the litter fall. Okay, I've given you the answer now. So this is how it falls, because C is giving to consumers and A, so it has to be the producer, obviously. See, when you get these kind of questions, try to analyze and find at least one, so that you will get the full map. If you sit blank and if you try to find out the very first one, it might be confusing. Now analyze the C. It's a producer because it is giving to A and consumers. So when you find that, I'm sure you'll find the rest. So this is how you should answer these kind of questions. Okay, the right answer to this question is option C. Okay, so with this we complete the part 5 of ecosystem. Let's meet in the last part of the same chapter in the next video. Thank you.